Hey, Bry Guy here. I got Ben with me, also known as Emoneb. And today's a special day for me personally because I got something in the mail the other day. This is the Star Renegades Special Edition for PS4. Now, this is my unboxing of my own Special Edition. So I don't know if I'll ever get this opportunity in life again. For those who don't know, I did all of the key art. So I did the cover art here for Star Renegades. I did the interior art. Basically, all of the art inside of this I did. Yeah, let's get to it. You have anything to say before we get started?
Didn't you also kind of like push more of the special effect direction of it, at least at the start
What do you mean by that?
of like Star Renegades?
Push the special effects direction?
Oh, like it wasn't anyone else that did it. It was more you until someone actually came along to do the
Well, I mean,
programming
I
and
could
whatnot.
talk about it. So I did all of the pixel art for the game. So the pixel art itself, so I did all the pixel animation and character. I did all the key art for the game. I helped art direct the animated trailer, but that was done. So the intro, the super animated, uh, like anime style trailer, was done by a studio called Brick, I think, in Europe somewhere. But yeah, so anyways, I had to do a bunch of the drawings to help them kind of set up that. But in terms of this, I did basically all of the artwork for this. Halfway through the project, Matt came on and did all the particles and took my pixel art animations. So I did all of the frames for the animations and he turned them into timelines in Unity to do proper blending animations and things like that. And then Evan came in at the end and took my sprites
Oh
and
yeah.
built some of the maps that are playable throughout the game. So, anyways, without much more ado, let's get to unboxing this. So it's pretty hefty, just pretty awesome. I mean, I'm pretty excited. It's pretty crazy to see this. It's like, anyways, yeah, I've switched to the top-down camera. So let's get to this. So I gotta bust the plastic off a bit.
Well, there was that one time you saw either you went in or someone did a picture where they had an EB that had just had a wall of Star Renegades
Yeah, it
underneath like
was crazy because
prime Nintendo IPs.
it was directly under Skyward Sword on Skyward Sword HD's release, so it was pretty crazy to see my own artwork right next to Zelda. Which I mean, I don't know if I'll ever get this opportunity again. The games that we're working on now, that we've hired more artists and stuff, so it won't be as much me, right? So I don't know if I ever a game that is this much me again. Ooh. So, anyways, it has a like nice slip cover. So the top opens. It has a magnet on the side, and it pops open. And look at that. Got in. And those are the company that did the special edition for us. So this here is the diorama set, which lets you set up a mini diorama, and it's got a bunch of the backgrounds that I drew for the game in there. And oh, we got a Justin sticker right here. Oh, other way around. That works better. Justin sticker right there. So we're doing this happy expression. This is the soundtrack. Oddly enough, does this stand out to you at all, Ben? The picture there?
Uh, I kind of remember that. Yeah.
Okay, so I took a photo. I almost never work from photo reference. I usually just wing it and draw. But my wife was sitting on the corner on the couch, and I just took a picture of Amy, and then I used it as a basis for WinSci-FX. So it's kind of funny that I tell her that she's on the front cover of the soundtrack because I kind of loosely based WinSci-FX off of her, not completely, but very loosely in my mind.
A
So
silhouette.
yeah, just kind of like loosely. So we got some playing cards here. Oh, I gotta keep my hands in front of the camera. Some playing cards. There is a typo which drove me nuts. There's double win Cyphex when this is supposed to be Davian Cyphex. So these are the pixel art animated talking portraits that I did for the games and for when they do combos and stuff, these slide in. So anyways, they were fun to do. They're pretty big in regards to pixel art, so they were a bit of a pain in the butt to animate. And believe it or not, I actually redid all of the talking animations before the game shipped. I had done them, and then in the beta phase, a couple of gamers didn't like them, and then I spent the last like week crunching and I redid all of them from scratch, all of the talking animations for the game. Here we go. We got a poster. Get it out of here. I can't get my fingers in. I don't want to break the box. And I don't want to break the poster. Cool. So this, oh my goodness. I almost had it. Okay. So here we have a double-sided poster. So on the one side, oh, turn it around. On the one side, we have the primary Star Renegades key art that I did. So this is the, oh my goodness, I can't even fit it on this camera. So we got to break it in half. But this is the primary key art that I did for Star Renegades. It is the other box cover for the non-special edition. It's the cover art for that version. Then this was a special image that I did. So this was a potential cover I did the sketch for. I remember doing Win Cyphex was kind of a nightmare because every time Ken or who's the CEO of Massive Damage wanted changes or whatnot, I'd have to completely refigure out the perspective on the armor. So it was always a nightmare making any changes for Win because you're not just like drawing the hand in a different position. You have to draw like all of the armor framing around the hand again, which is harder to figure out every time. So this is pretty crazy. The art and I can't get these things out. I'm the worst at this. Okay, I'm not a great unboxer apparently. This is the art and illustrations of Star Renegades. So you can see it has a little note from me on the very first page. So it says, note from the artist, thanks for purchasing this art book. It represents 3 years of my life, drawing day in and day out, making anything that this game needed, everything from the character art to pixel art, background, equipment, and frames out of animation. I love creating the art for this game, and hopefully you like what you see. Games can look like anything, and it took a long time to work out the pixel art and key art style for Star Renegades. It had many changes throughout its life cycle, and was quite an adventure for me. I hope this takes you part of the way through my rabbit hole. Anyways, that part of the quote there, games can look like anything. It comes from like a long conversation I had with one of the lead artists on Red Dead Redemption, where I said that to him because picking an art style for a game is hard because a game can look like anything. And it's often difficult to try to match whatever style you should with the art of the game. Anyways, you can see some of the key art that I did for Win here. So I had to figure out her from multiple angles and then try to imagine the armor and different positions on her. This was more just poses for Win. One day, so we get a learning day every Friday, or it started out once a month, then it was every 2 weeks, and then they gave it to us once a month. But one of the learning days where you could just do whatever you want on Fridays, I wanted to mess around with voxels, so I just quickly made a voxel Win for no reason whatsoever.
Oh, yeah.
This was just an art that I did for fun near the launch of Star Renegades. And then we get to some sketchbook stuff. So I have the sketchbook for this over there with all of the original drawings. There's even more that aren't in here. And then some of the key art poses that for the characters that actually got them. More sketches, kind of the initial. These were like really early before this version of it when we first kind of got the project rolling. And then these were kind of fun things. I did start a pixel art version of this one, but I never finished it, so it never got animated. Same with, there's one more like that, the Bentley one here. I have a full pixel art version of this, and I didn't animate it, so I never posted it, but I almost finished it. So it's kind of sad that I didn't. But anyways, this one, the cover is the pixel art version of it. So that was originally the sketch in my sketchbook. Anyways, yeah, so, I mean, I can go through this a bit. It originally started as a space bike game. So I was messing around with space motorcycles. Well, first it was a expansion for Halcyon 6, and then it was a space bike game. And then we were kind of messing around with some of that, and from there it went to the pixel art style. So this was like, I had 2 weeks to make a trailer before GDC because the space bike game didn't get picked up and people weren't liking it. And they were like, we need to do a pixel art pivot. And then I went and I made the original trailer for Star Renegades right away. So this was kind of some early key art. This is kind of the final key art style that I did for the game. This was, I think, the first piece that kind of solidified that key art. and I had to expand it and add this character. So initially it was just the side version here, but then Microsoft wanted to use it on a complete booth at GDC, at Gamescom, and then I had to extend it and then add the upper half of the illustration. There's more key art stuff. This I just did for fun. I wanted to reference Chrono Trigger and do the Chrono Trigger image using the characters, so I did. Um, and yeah, there's that poster. This is the art I did. I did it with. I don't even think anyone asked me to do it, just because I wanted a Switch box art. So I made it for the Switch box art because I really wanted to have a set box art piece. So that's what I did for that, because I really wanted a physical copy of the game, and I'm actually getting one, which is pretty fun. Oh, there is the start of the pixel art version of that one, but I never finished it or polished it. Funny thing. So this was kind of like the midway point of the game, which is kind of interesting because initially it was pixel art and people were responding really well to it at conferences. And when we went to the meeting for Raw Fury, with Raw Fury, when they were talking about wanting to publish the game, I made this. I completely set it all up as a mock 3D 2D hybrid in After Effects, and I showed my work, and they loved it. And then they showed Raw Fury, and Raw Fury absolutely fell in love with it. And then I screwed myself over because then I had to go and change everything to the 2D 3D hybrid for the final game. Anyways, so here's just sets of these are some of these two are some of the earliest backgrounds I ever did for the game. This one too. This one came a bit later. These ones were fun. This one turned out really nice in the game because I used planar reflections for the water.
Yeah,
so we have.
Yeah, that one did.
I did a set water. It looks nuts on PS4 because the shaders are broken for certain things. There's clouds that go kind of weird on PS4, and then the water there goes completely haywire. And then there's the plane ride. These are some backgrounds of the Titans. So this was the first image that I did that went kind of out of my control ever. When I did that one, it was number one on pixel art on Reddit, and people were commenting and going crazy on it and I didn't even know that was going on. My work pointed it out to me, and I remember being so anxious when it was doing that well. But yeah, I really like this one. I think that one turned out really nice. It's got a nice kind of analogous color palette from the blue to the pink to the purple. And I had specific color palettes in mind when I was going through this game. A lot of it is like purples and pinks. Pinks were the color that I always set as a like a second color in every scene. So you'll see it as kind of like a highlighting color a little bit in every image that I did. And it was just kind of its own flavor piece in the game. These are the maps for Praxis. And then this was kind of like the warm, kind of cozy dining area. But anyways, yeah, so I drew all of these backgrounds. And then I had to kind of figure out how to make them work in a 3D environment. It's kind of like a billboard-like system. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of crazy to see all like 3 years of drawing that you did for work every day compressed into like a little art book. But it's cool at the same time. This is like such a minimal amount of the frames. I just did enough frames in this to tell a little story about the characters' animations, but it's like each of these characters had between like 300 and 700 frames, or like usually between 300 and 500 frames of unique frames for animation. And, you get 9 there. So you're not seeing almost, and it would be this one, and then I'd skip like 4 or 5, or I'd skip a bunch so that it kind of tells a story with the animation without, showing every frame. But I did that for every character. You have their character, their talking portrait, their level up portrait, and then you have some frames that just kind of give a little bit about their personality. Bentley's my favorite. I just had a ton of fun drawing him. Anyways, so yeah, this is the art book of Star Renegades. Can talk about some more stuff. I made that for fun. I just modeled Justin in Maya. I also modeled Bentley, but I didn't put him in here. So just so I had them. I never used them for reference for anything that is working in the game. I work straight in pixel art, but I thought that if we had them, we could make little toys or whatnot if we needed to in the future. These are kind of like side characters that I made the the art for. Some of them I think I did these ones without being asked to. I just really wanted some kind of weird aliens in the game somewhere. I don't think this one's in the game anywhere. He might be.
DLC extra.
He might be. I'm trying to remember. And this guy, I was like, I think I was thinking of you, Ben, when I was putting the fake Dragon Balls in his hand. I was like,
Well,
it's kind of
and
like,
like the overworld very much reminds me of Namek a lot.
yeah, more color, but these are all like the weapon sprites and stuff that I did for the equipment. Um, this is the enemy screen. So this is the similar. You know, it's funny because I did recently. There was a. I should have just left it alone, but I did the Final Fantasy VI image on, and I put it on Reddit and I put it on Twitter, and it was doing pretty well, like really well, and it was kind of getting out of. And someone on a bunch of people on Reddit were like, "Why couldn't the remake of Final Fantasy VI look like this?" and blah blah blah. And then some guy commented, "Is like, you know, artist with no game dev experience releases a picture. Everyone's like, the game should look like this." And I was like, I have lots of game dev experience. I commented on it. I'm like, I kind of made it hoping that if you made Final Fantasy VI again, you could kind of make it like that. And this is kind of proof, right? It's like all of these enemies had like 300 to 500 frames of animation, and Final Fantasy VI didn't have any frames of animation for the enemies. There were static frames. And there's how many enemies is there here? What, 5, 10? Like it's 33 there, and then there's like 40 to 50 enemies in the game, right? And all of them have a ludicrous amount of animation. If you cut the animation down in half, right, you could double the character count. And then you could make a really robust game with decent animation doing something like Final Fantasy VI again. So anyways, I don't think it's impossible. It's plausible. You would just have to put the right resources into it. This is the enemy portraits. These were also added kind of last minute. I was trying to avoid having done them because it made a huge pain in the butt for me because I was trying to avoid one step in the work pipeline, but they did ultimately make the timeline more clear and they helped with it in the end, but I was kind of avoidant of making them. So, this is kind of interesting because this map here this was the very first demo we did of the game was on this map. It was playable at Gamescom and it was playable at one other event, I think PAX. And you could play, they had a node map and you could go around, you can see the node map here. You could go around and travel to those kind of areas. And I did this for the Raw Fury build and we kind of fell in love with it. I could see how you could see the Namek reference. I think it's a little less bland because I guess it's the purple to blue analogous versus the green to blue of Namek, which is a little more, I guess, a little less harmonious feeling. And then these, I think, are some of my favorites. I did like these tiny map sprites for every character and enemy in the game, and they're just so cute. I don't know. I think they're... It was so fun to work with so few pixels and try to represent their character. But anyways, we tried node maps. We had like these secondary node like area dungeons that were pretty cool looking maps. I kind of wish that we were able to keep that, but we ended up, in order to make more maps, we pushed everything to tiled. And then it lost a little bit of that organic feel. Like if you compare one of these maps, let's go to a Narosh map. Where's a Narosh map? Second planet. If you compare like this to the initial concept that kind of drove that, you lose this kind of nice organic nature that you get here, right? When you do tiled, it's like it gets a little bit more stiff and strange, but you know, we did our best to offset that as much as we can, but you know, you can tell it's much more like, anyways, I was trying to keep it organic doing them by hand, but it just wasn't practical for making maps with a lot of variety. These are kind of like the dungeons that me and Evan worked on. And then these are the cute little map versions of all the enemies, which were... So anyways, I did, this is the team. So this is the team that worked on it. So there's me, obviously, did the pixel art, Gary, who came up with the combat design along with Peter and worked on all the gameplay stuff and also managed the team. Linda does HR and UI. Lucky did a lot of the coding along with Colin over here. And then Jacqueline was in charge of community management, and she also helped do a lot of the UI and things like that. And then Christian was working on maps before Evan. Unfortunately, Christian passed away halfway through development on the game. But anyways, that's the art book. I guess I took a little bit more time explaining it because it's, I guess, more personal to me. But yeah, this is the PS4 version of Star Renegades. Look at that. It's so crazy. Yeah, it's got a PlayStation pull tab built in. Where do you find it, though?
Isn't it usually like top middle?
No. They have see this. There's a little line that says PlayStation along the bottom, and I guarantee if you pull at it at that point, it'll tear across because it's designed to rip along that. It's a little pull tab, but they also don't seem to give you access to it. Oh, almost got it. Oh, come on. Watch me fumble with a game case. It's magnificent.
Part of the unpacking.
No, whatever. I'm just going to get the corner. Or I'll keep it sealed and sell it on eBay in 30 years.
No. Well, you have the literal raw art for it. I'm pretty sure you could get more money for that.
I'm not allowed to sell that. But there we go. Okay, cool. Let's open this up. Nice. Perfect. Okay. Anyways. Look at that. So yeah, this is the alternate cover for it, comparatively to if you buy the other version. Has a UK rating because the Strictly Limited is based out of the UK. Yeah, so here's an actual manual for the game. Yeah. German is the first language on that warning sheet. But look at that. You got a little manual. Game with a manual. I can't believe it. Look at win.
Been 15 years.
Yeah, I know. Look at that. Anyways, so I hope you all enjoyed that. That was me. The reverse cover. You want to see it?
Yes.
I'm kind of iffy about this reverse cover because they downscaled this character and moved him to the side, which isn't my intent with that image at all. So I was always kind of iffy about using that as because it was never formatted for that. So if you compare it to the actual image, you can see that like the scaling is set for him to be imposing. He's huge and on the side, right? And then she's cropped partially by him, and they took it and they scaled him down so it looks like it's like some tiny armed force. So yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of the reversed cover. I would have rather they used the other one. But anyways, yeah, that's the special edition of Star Renegades. Super glad. Thank you, Strictly Limited and In Games for putting that together. I am super excited. Oh, I will show the diorama. I assembled it from the Switch version. This here is the diorama. You can see you get to set up your own little battlefield. It has all of my background art, and you can set up the little characters in it and the boss. So pretty cool. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. You have any questions about any of that, or no?
No, I'm good.
Oddly enough, they look better on the other side. I don't know if you can see them, but the characters' prints, like looking through them that way, where they look much more faded when you look through them that way. So I was kind of surprised they didn't print it on the other side, but whatever. What are you gonna do? So yeah, that's the special edition. Anyways, this is my probably hope maybe not my only chance to unbox my own game. So thought might as well go through that and I can explain some of it. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It was cool to see it in stores everywhere. You know, it was just like in like Walmart and GameStop and EB Games where I live. So, which, you know, we didn't have to force it on anyone. It was just there. And that's kind of always what I wanted, to have that experience where you just walk into a store and your game's there. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like, feel free to click like. If you have any questions, go ahead. If you want, you can always click subscribe. And I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.